Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. If you are a new listener and this is just your first time coming across me, my name is Tiffany. Today we're going to be ending our Stranger Things discussion, which I'm kind of sad about. Um, this is kind of like a part three, so if you missed the other two parts of me talking about the finale of season four, you can go back and rewatch my previous episodes on my Facebook page, or you could catch me on Spotify or YouTube. Just search Tiffany's TVscape podcast and you should be able to find it. So we're ending off our Stranger Things discussion today. I'm going to talk about pretty much what happens in the final few moments of episode 9, and it's really, really emotional. I warned you guys last week. Um, Although you probably won't cry hearing me talk about it, but it is really, really sad. It doesn't end very happily, I would say. And then after that, I kind of wanted to do something fun. I had an idea. Since we're going into October pretty soon, we're pretty much entering spooky season and obviously anything having to do with Halloween. So I want to talk about horror movies that traumatizes us as kids or things that just really scared us and still affect us to this today. And I think that's kind of fascinating because, you think it's a movie, it's fictional, whatever, but like people have real life, like trauma, whatever you want to call it, fears from movies. And I thought that would be kind of like a fun and interesting topic to touch upon. And I actually asked some people on social media and I got a few answers. So I'll definitely talk about that after we get into Stranger Things. Um, so I'm just gonna kind of dive right into it. So honestly, like I said, so much happens throughout this whole season. And I've been trying to take it episode by episode, but it's kind of a lot to keep up with. I even write notes, and sometimes I still don't remember. I'm like, did I talk about this last week? I don't remember. So I'm just gonna say that we left off. Um, I think last episode I cut it off where pretty much everything in episode 9 that could go wrong was going wrong. Um, just everything was just falling apart. They had this plan to kill Vecna, and to save Max and everything, and their plan just crumbled. Like one thing messed it up, and it was just a ripple effect, and everything was just like everything was just bad at this point. And I think when we were all watching it, I know like when I was watching it in real time, I was like, how are they going to bounce back from this? Because I think what was so crazy about this season was that they really took it there to a point where you really were questioning what was going to happen to the main characters and if they were really going to lose this time. I think in previous seasons, there's always been some type of end battle, or there's always been, them going up against the Upside Down and Elle usually being at the forefront having to fight it because she's the one with powers. Um, and we've had some losses, of course, but like I just feel like in previous seasons, it still felt like they won. Like it still felt like the core group of the show won. Like they came out on top. And in this one, it just didn't happen that way. They really lost, to be honest. And it was sad. It was really, really sad. Like I can't even tell you how many YouTube reactions that I watched, and probably like 9 out of 10 of the reactions that I watched, people were crying or tearing up, reacting to it for the first time and just discussing it, and it was like really emotional. And I teared up watching it too, even though I kind of knew that something bad was going to happen. I just didn't realize how far they were really going to take it there. But the writers, I guess they were just like, let's just go for it. So yeah, so we everything is falling apart and it looks like things are just at a loss, and Vecna's pretty much just like, I told you I had this plan in motion from the beginning, and now you see it coming to light and there's nothing you could do to stop it. This is kind of what he's saying to Elle, um when they're kind of going up against each other, and he pretty much has her like in a lot, like not literally in a headlock, but he has her like strapped and she can't move. And the thing that saves her is Mike telling her that he loves her and just giving her encouraging words and telling her to fight, and just pushing her. And that was what she needed to hear. I think I mentioned that in the last episode, but that was what she really needed to hear, to kind of reignite, I guess, that spark in her. And once that happened, baby, she broke free. And she, pushed Vecna, and now it was like, the tables turned. Now he was the one that was like trapped, because of her powers. And when that happened, simultaneously, like while he was doing that, then Hopper in Russia was fighting the big Demogorgon, and that was like an epic battle. Like almost, I would say like I don't want to say it was better than the fight between Elle and Vecna, but it was like up there, like neck and neck. That was pretty. I don't know, like it was like the way they shot it was just really really cool, and I think it kind of looked like a video game or something, like something you would do in a video game, like the way he had that big sword, and he just like was killing it, like for real. As I told you, Hopper this season was like amazing. I mean, I've always liked his character, but I just feel like after everything that he went through and him still coming out like probably stronger than ever and still having the will to fight just gave like I just have so much more respect for his character. Um and so yeah, that fight was pretty epic and the way he just like sliced off the Demogorgon's head at the end. And so he's doing that and L is pretty much has Vecna in a chokehold. And then on top of that, Steve and Robin and Nancy, they're all in the upside down. They're in the house now. So now they're able to like physically attack Vecna's body. So since all that's happening at the same time, it's actually hurting Vecna. Which is good. That's what they wanted to do. Because remember, everything is connected. It's all hive mind. So if you kill a Demogorgon, if you kill one of the creatures, and oh yeah, and then Eddie was going up against the bats in the upside down, so he was kind of like hurting them as well. And so I think all of that combined was hurting Vecna in real time. And so when that started happening, and then he realized that like, okay, maybe they can come out of this, maybe they can win, maybe something good will happen out of this, because for a minute there it literally looked like doom and are they really gonna like do this? Like, are they really doing this to the characters, like the main characters? Because usually when you watch something, you always think, well, I don't know about the other, like the side characters or any new characters. I'm not sure what their fates are, but with the main cast, you're always like, well, okay, I feel like they're safe. They might get hurt, but like for the most part, you think they're safe. But in this case, it was like, no, like anybody could get it because Vecna was like ruthless. He just really didn't care. I mean, obviously, his main target has always been Elle, but he was going, I mean, he was pretty much going after anybody that he wanted to. So that was what made it really, I think, nail biting, I would say. um and so yeah, all this stuff is happening at the same time. They're all doing what they can from each part of the world to pretty much attack Vecna. And finally, once Mike gives Elle that speech, and then she kind of I guess you could want to say fights him, or just, she stops him from going forward with the plan that he had in motion. Everything, because remember, this whole fight is like mental. It's in Max's mind, and then Vecna's in her mind as well. It's all like it's crazy. It's like Inception or something. But once that happens, everything starts like dissipating around her. So that's how you know, like, okay, she's coming out of it now. Because I think they were worried about Elle when she was fighting against him, because her physical body was like shaking and trembling and stuff. And so they were like, yeah, we need to get her out of this. Like, we need to wake her up. Um, and so um, that happens, and literally, again, like when you think, okay, maybe they can come back for this, maybe something good will happen, you realize that Max is not okay. And by not okay, like that's probably an understatement. She is hurt, like really, really bad. And again, like I knew that, obviously, I knew throughout the season that Max was a major target towards for Vecna. I mean, and I knew that was really dangerous for her to use herself as bait and stuff. And I knew that there was a chance that things could go really wrong. But I think I don't know if I was really anticipating this the way it ended with her. So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, she technically does die, but Elle revives her somehow, some way. But even in reviving her, she's stuck in a coma, so she's not there all the way, if that makes sense. And we still don't, I still think we don't know, like, the full story as to how Elle brought her back and where exactly Max is in her mind, because there's a scene where Elle goes into her mind, and I think she's trying to like help her to wake up, and it's just blank and it's completely dark, and it's really sad. And I think in that moment, Elle realizes and the audience realizes, like, oh, Max is not there. Like, she's checked out. And I don't know if that has to do with just her, like, her body just trying to heal, or if Vecna has her soul or her mind or is still in control of her some kind of way. I feel like it has something to do with Vecna, because Vecna is definitely not dead, even after all that, which is ridiculous. But you know how it is in like horror movies, especially back in the day. It was like you kill or you think you killed the villain, and then like there's like four other movies, and it's like, how are you not dead yet? That's literally every like Halloween movie. Like, how is Michael Myers not dead yet? But that's kind of what they did with this, because I think, or not even I think, I know that season four was definitely modeled after like 80s horror. And so that's one of the main tropes that you see in a lot of movies back then, where you think the killer's in it, or they're what they did in this was they they torched Vecna, and like his body fell out of the window, and then of course when they go downstairs to look, the body's gone. So it's like, really, like, come on, after all of that he's still not dead. But I mean, that just shows how powerful he is. So they have another big fight to do next season, and I'm scared for all of them, to be honest. But man, what an ending to the series! Such It was just crazy from beginning to end. When I say beginning to end, I mean from the very first episode all the way up until episode 9. But going back to Max, so she's, for as far as we know as an audience, she's blind, her bones are broken, and she's in a coma, and she's not in her mind, because Elle, like I said, goes in there and it's just blank. And usually when she goes into people's minds, she's able to communicate with them, and she wasn't able to do that this time. And so that was clearly very devastating to her, to Elle. And you could tell that um, this was like a real big loss. And like I said, they never really lost this badly before in any previous seasons, especially to anybody in the core group of like their friendship. I mean, there's obviously been other deaths, but usually it's like side characters or new characters. But in this case, I think it really hit home for everybody that it was like Max. Like, we've had Max since season 2, and we've gotten to know her, and I'm sure most people love her character, and I love the friendship that she's developed with Elle over time, because I know at one point they weren't really like that close, but last season they became really, really close. And I think that was good for Elle to have a girlfriend, because she was surrounded by like all those boys, and it was like, let's give her a girlfriend so she can chat about girly things. And that's what they did, and I love that they did that. So losing her was like, I guess losing her temporarily is like really, really sad. And I definitely teared up, because Sadie, who plays Max in the show, her acting this season, is specifically in the scene where she's, I mean, if you know, you know, the scene where she's like, she wakes up, but she's like, I can't see anything. And there's like blood coming from her eyes. And she's like, I don't want to die. Like, I don't want to go. And Lucas is holding her and crying and just trying to like calm her, but you can tell he's not calm. And oh my God, it was just really intense and just really, really sad. Um, and I think we were all just watching it going like, is this really happening right now? Like, are they really doing this to Max? Like, seriously, Max? Um, and then the other thing that really got me and so many other people was obviously Eddie's death. And again, spoiler alert, if you didn't know that he died, he does die at the end, unfortunately. So, but to be honest, that wasn't a major surprise. I think I was a little bit more surprised about Max, like how much damage they put her in, or how much damage she went through this season. With Eddie, I know that there's been kind of a pattern of new characters getting killed off, so there was a good chance that he was going to die. And I think with the way, as soon as you kind of saw that he was like willing to fight and kind of to be the hero, it was like, they were already kind of telling you there that he's going to go out like a champion. So at least he went out, fighting, and that he wasn't like he wasn't running away this time. I think that was the biggie with him, is he didn't want to be that person. Literally most of the season he was running, because people in the town thought that he was um they thought he was involved in some kind of cult. They thought he was the cause of all the deaths that were happening, and so everybody was just blaming him because they didn't understand what was going on. And so he was just running away from townspeople the whole time. And finally, in that moment, he was able to choose, like, I'm not going to run anymore. I'm just going to fight, and whatever happens, happens. But at least I know, like, I stood up for myself, and that I'm defending my friends, and that I'm doing something good to save the people, even though these people don't really care. Like, meaning the people of Hawkins, they don't really care about him. But he's like, I'm gonna do whatever I can anyway, and he did it. So I'm, really, really sad. For sure teared up when he died. Um, and I think a big part of that too was because he died in Dustin's arms, and seeing Dustin break down like that was really, really sad because he's always been the character that I feel like is just super bubbly and smiley all the time, and he makes jokes, and he has like this whole comedic thing with him and Steve. And so seeing him, I don't remember in previous seasons if we've ever got a scene where he was really like breaking down like that. If so, I don't remember. You have to remind me, you guys. But yeah, that was horrible, and it was sad too because clearly Eddie and Dustin had formed a bond, and he Dustin looked at Eddie as like an older brother, kind of the same way as Steve, I think. And so again, having him die that way, and just knowing that Dustin couldn't do anything about it, I think was just like, just all of it was just sad. It was just really, really sad, you guys. But what a hell of a season though. Like they really delivered. The writers, the actors, literally everybody that was a part of Stranger Things season 4 just did what they had to do. Um, and I think this season will definitely go down in the books. Like it'll definitely be talked about years to come. Like people will go, remember when season 4 dropped? Remember how crazy that was? Like, and I think all of the seasons are great. I still really favor season 3, to be honest, but season 4 is like, first, if not my favorite now, it's definitely neck and neck with season 3 for me. But I've seen a lot of people going like, yeah, season 4 was like the best so far. So um, yeah, I mean, I don't even know what else to say about it. Like it just ended so I don't want to say so horribly, but it just ended in such a like on an ominous note. I would say it was just very like, dang, like we lost Max temporarily, we lost Eddie. Jason died, by the way. Who cares about Jason? Sorry, but I really did not care. I was surprised though the way they killed him off. Like he got it bad, but I was not like crying over him, to be honest, because he just ruined everything. Like the way he was really trying to go after Lucas, and the fact that he was willing to shoot him, not knowing, like not even knowing the full story. And I was just like, yeah, you need to go because you're doing too much. So sorry, didn't feel bad for Jason. Um, and then who else? And then obviously Dr. Brenner died. Um, what was that, last episode or the previous episode before that? Again, it wasn't something I really cried over, but I, understood the significance because he's been a major role into why all of this kind of happened, and how, Elle was able to have powers and all this kind of stuff. So, a lot of it goes back to him. So that was kind of a biggie that he died as well. But yeah, I definitely feel like Max and Eddie, I think, was the one that really hit for all of us. Like what really made us like cry for sure. Um, but before I continue off into that, I did want to remind you guys that my podcast is sponsored by Streann Media. So the way I'm able to go live every week on Facebook is through the Streann Studio software. Um, I pretty much talk about this every week. So if you guys know, you know. But for those who, like I said, if you're a new listener and you never heard of Streann Media or Streann Studio, um, this is what I use to do my podcast, and it comes with all these cool little features. It is free. So if you want to use Stream Studio, you can use it as well. All you do is go to studio.stream.com and you put in your email, and they send you a login code. When you get that login code, you just enter it in, and you're there. You can do whatever you want to do. It doesn't have to be podcasting, but they do specialize in live streaming. So whatever type of content you want to create, I recommend taking advantage of the live streaming. So if you're into gaming or podcasting, or just really any type of videos that you want to make and you want to be able to go live, you could definitely do it with Stream Studio. And they make it easy because you're able to go live through not only Facebook, but Twitch and YouTube. And I believe they're adding on other social media channels that you could go live on as well. And then they make it really easy to save your recording. So that way, if you want to transfer your videos to, let's say, TikTok or Instagram, they have those options as well. So it's a lot of cool features. Like I said, free, really simple and easy to use for anybody to use. But highly recommend if you are a content creator or you're looking to get into content creation and you don't really know where to start. I would say this is a really good start. just to kind of learn the basics and have a platform where you could reach out to people and hopefully you create an audience or some type of community for yourself. But anyway, let's get back into Stranger Things. So, in one of the last scenes, we do see Will and Mike having a conversation, and Will pretty much just straight up tells him, like, you know, Vecna is hurt, but he's not dead. Like, he's not gone, you guys. You think he's dead, but he's not. But obviously, us as the audience, we know that he's not because, like I said, his body wasn't there when they went to go check. So, what does that tell you? Um, but Will tells him, like, now that I'm back in Hawkins, because remember, he's been in California this whole time. He comes back to Hawkins and he's like, I can still feel Vecna. I can still feel the upside down. He still has a connection to it now that we know. And I think that was kind of a big part of his storyline, if I remember correctly, in season 3, where he was out of the upside down, but he was still very much being haunted by it. And super traumatized, and I don't think he's ever fully gotten over that. Actually, I know he's never fully gotten over that because it's like, how do you cope with that? How do you deal with that at such a young age? And you don't really have, I mean, he has a limited choice of people that he could talk about that with because you can't really go to a shrink and say, well, I was traumatized by the upside down and everything, because they would be like, what are you talking about? You're like, you're crazy. So, and Will has always been that type of character that keeps his feelings and things to himself. So I know he's been internalizing a lot of that since he was abducted, pretty much. And that's why part of the reason why I really feel bad for his character, um, and why I think I empathize with him much more even now, because it's clearly still affecting him even as a teenager. And it's something, like I said, I don't think he's ever fully dealt with it yet. So I'm assuming that maybe they're going to be forced, or he will be forced to deal with it in season 5, because that is the last season um, of Stranger Things. So whatever loose ends they got to wrap up, it's going to have to happen next season. So I don't know. But he tells Mike straight up that, like, I can still feel him. And he's not dead. So, and then you kind of get like a little bit of a reference to season 3, because he touches the back of his neck, and if you watch the show, he did that a lot last season, because that's when he knows he's feeling. It's kind of like Spider-Man, like he kind of has, like, what do you call it? Like spidey senses. It's like this tingling feeling that he feels on the back of his neck, and he touches his neck and he turns around, and then it's like we see that the upside down is now seeping into the real world, which is really not good. But that, again, that was all a part of Vecna's plan. So that's why I said they kind of really did lose this time around, because although they temporarily stopped him from killing people, he's still kind of, I mean, he's still affecting them. And now it's, like I said, it's seeping into the real world. So I don't know what that means for the townspeople, like if they're going to find out about the upside down, or if the Hawkins crew is going to have to try to contain it some kind of way. Like, um, I don't know what's gonna happen, you guys. I mean, I'm still really excited um to see where the show is gonna end up, but I know we have quite a while until season 5, because obviously, like, with it being the last season, I feel like they're gonna. Part of me is kind of like, how are you gonna go harder than you did for season 4 and season 5? But I feel like I said, since it's the ending, it's gonna be big for sure. So I think that's gonna take time to make and everything. So, and from what I've heard, there's rumors that there will be a time skip. So I'm not sure if when season 5 starts, if we're picking back up right where we left off, or if it's just gonna be like a 3-4 years later type thing. If they do that, oh my god, that's gonna be crazy. I don't know, but I mean, it'll work though, because you have to think the actors are, by the time season 5 comes out, probably won't be out to like 2024, to be honest. And by then they'll all be like in their early 20s. So to try to keep them as like 15, 16-year olds, I don't know if that's going to work. So it probably makes sense for them to do a time jump, so that way they look their age, so that way that maybe they can look like they're like 17, 18, or something like that. I don't know, but that will be interesting if they do that. I heard that they're going to do that, but I don't know for sure. um, but one of the good things that did happen, I will say, in the last episode, is we finally got to see Hopper and Elle reunited. That was a really sweet moment. And I think we've all kind of been waiting for that because obviously Hopper has been away from everybody pretty much the entirety of the season. And they thought he was dead and everything. But, when Elle hugs him and everything, she's like, I kept the door open for you and everything. And it's just like really, really sweet. And I was like, oh, like we finally get something good. Gosh, after everything that happened. But yeah, so I'm glad that he's back in her life now because I know she really missed, although she has Joyce as like a parental figure. I know she really missed having like a male, especially now with that Dr. Brenner is not there anymore. I feel like having a healthy male figure in her life like that, male parental figure like that is really going to be good for her, especially being a teenager and going through high school and everything like that. So I'm so glad that he's back, and they better not kill him off because we're gonna have words, writers of Stranger Things. Um, and so yeah, I think they'll probably do pretty good in developing their like father daughter relationship. I think in the last season, and hopefully we get more scenes between them because it's really really precious the way that they've bonded. I think over the last few seasons, um, and I think it's good for him too because he lost his. If you guys don't remember, he lost his daughter. He had a child. He had a whole life before all this stuff happened. He was married. He had a child and everything. The child died because she came down with some type of illness. I don't remember if it was cancer or if it was something else, but she got sick and died. And so that was the one and only child he ever had. And so I think that's kind of healing for him too to be able to like look after her and treat her like as his own and everything. But yeah, you guys, that is the last of Stranger Things for now. We'll see what happens once we kind of get more of an inkling into what season 5 will be. If we'll get any type of like, probably won't get any type of trailers anytime soon, but like usually people will release like photos if they're filming on set. Um, we might get something like that. Maybe I don't know how much they're going to reveal. I'm pretty sure they're going to, want to keep things on lockdown because they don't want things to get spoiled and everything. But I think that's going to be the last of Stranger Things that I talk about for a while, and I'm sad about it because this season was really really good. Um, but yeah, let's close that off. We're ending that chapter, and we're just gonna have to wait and see. Like I said, what happens next season. Um, let me know like what you guys thought about season 4, what your favorite season of Stranger Things is, or if you haven't seen it, let me know if hearing me talk about it made you want to go and watch it. Because if so, like I said, you have to start it from the beginning. You cannot just watch season 4 because you're not going to understand anything. It's going to be really weird and confusing. You have to go back to the beginning to really understand um, everything that's led up to all of this. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about that. And I know I've been saying for the past, like, I don't know how long, that I'm looking for recommendations into series that you guys want me to discuss or anything that you want me to check out that you think would be cool for me to talk about. I haven't gotten too many of those. So since you guys haven't really said much of anything and I'm not too sure what series I want to talk about next, I'm going to kind of switch it up for the month of October. So, like I mentioned in the beginning of the episode, I do definitely want to start to kind of do some, I guess, horror related themed episodes for the month of October. And so I'm already kind of planning content for that. So that way, um, I kind of already know ahead of time what I'm going to be talking about, and then I can let you guys know so you know to tune in. But so yeah, so the month of October is going to be different for the podcast. I'm going to kind of switch it up a bit. So I'm not going to be doing like recaps of a TV series like I've been doing. So if you do like me doing that, I'm sorry. I'm going to kind of abandon that for a little bit. Although I plan on going back to that for November and everything. It's just for October and for spooky season and for us leading up to Halloween. I thought it'd be fun to do something like, I guess, like, something to fit the theme of the month, I guess. Um, and so I'm going to start it off today, although it is still technically September. It's the end of September, so we're going into October soon anyway. So I thought I'd just start it off today, and I kind of wanted to do something fun. And I had the idea of asking people what movie traumatized you as a kid. What, like what movie do you remember you go, oh my God, that really scared me, and to this day, like, I'm still scared of it, type of thing. And I think most people have like a movie or two that they can think of. I know I definitely have a few. um so what I did was I went on social media. I went on Twitter, Instagram, on my Facebook page, and I even went to Discord and I asked people. And so I got quite a few answers, most of them actually coming in from Twitter. So what I wanted to do was just kind of like read off some of the responses that I got, and then we could just kind of talk about it. And some of them were repeats. So some people said the same thing, which I kind of figured that was going to happen. And some of the answers I got were actually like kind of surprising, where I was going like, really, that scared you, or that was, but and it depends on what generation you come from. So like, obviously if you're older, I think a lot of people will say like Exorcist, or like, I don't know, like Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween. I thought it was going to be like all those types of movies, but people were saying like different stuff, and I was going, okay, like I didn't even think about that. And then some of them I was like, yeah, I definitely remember that for sure. Um so I got a few responses. I'm probably not going to be able to say everybody's name, so I'm sorry if I, don't say who tweeted me. Just know that I thank you guys for responding to the question. And I appreciate you guys participating for my podcast. But I got like at least two or three people saying Chucky. So I thought that was a pretty good answer, because Chucky is still very relevant today. I think it became such a big part of pop culture. And there's even a TV show out now about Chucky. I have not seen it, but I think it might be on its second season. I'm not too sure. If any of you guys watch it, you can let me know if it's good or not, or if it's anything like the original movie. Fun fact, I have never seen Chucky in full. So, yeah. There's a lot of horror movies, that are a lot of like classic horror movies that I have not seen, or that I haven't seen in full. I think that people would be like, "You haven't seen that?" But it's like I've told you guys before, I really did not watch horror movies like that growing up. I was scared of everything, and that just was not my thing. Um a lot of times when I did watch stuff like that, it was because somebody else was watching it, or I just happened to like come across it, and I was like, oh God. I didn't like seek it. Like, I didn't, you know, that wasn't like my first choice. Even today, I'm not going like, yeah, I want to watch horror movies. I'm like, can we watch like a comedy or a romance or something? Um, but especially back then, I was like, no, I do not want to watch a scary movie. So I really haven't seen the entirety of like the first Chucky movie, nor have I seen the other. I know there's like sequels and everything, and I know like Bride of Chucky. um, so I know there's all that stuff, and I know like I said, I know it kind of became a big thing and part of pop culture. So I thought that was a pretty good answer. Um, One that surprised me, somebody said Monster House scared them. But specifically, they said the Monster House trailer really scared them, but they said the movie itself is actually good. So if you guys don't know, Monster House is an animated movie. I don't remember what year that came out, but I actually really like that movie. That's one I don't mind going back to revisit for Halloween, and I think it might be on streaming services, so you might be able to look it up on Netflix or something. But that's basically a movie about it's like how can I explain it? So these a group of kids are really suspicious of this really creepy house that pretty much is in their neighborhood, and there's this old guy that lives in the house, and um, they kind of wondering what's his deal, why is he so mean and cruel, and why does he kind of keep away from everybody, and what is it with this house? There's something with this house, and what they end up realizing is that the house is alive. Um, but the twist is that the house itself isn't really like as sinister, I guess, as they thought it was. What it is that the old guy's wife died. And I guess when she died, her soul or something like became one with the house, or it's like entrapped in the house. So basically, his wife is the house, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain, but I think that's what happens. I haven't seen it in quite a while, but that's a good movie. I remember when that came out. Um, and I think I even remember like somebody, like one of my little cousins used to be afraid of that or something, but it was a good movie. So I was kind of surprised somebody said that. But again, I don't know how old this person is. So it depends on age, like what generation you grew up in, like what really scared you and stuff. Um, and then let me just take a quick pause break. I still have other movies to go over. Just to talk a little bit about stream media again, I did want to let you guys know that I am using Stream Studio software to do this podcast every week. So the way I'm able to go live on Facebook every Tuesday is by using their studio software. So thank you to Stream Media for sponsoring the podcast. And thank you for making it easy for me to do this because it's not like I really knew anything about podcasting, let alone using an online studio. So thank you for making it easy. And if any of you guys want to use it, you can go to studio.streann.com and check it out. You could also check out their social media pages. They're on Instagram and Facebook and everything. Just look up Streann Media. Streann is spelled with two N's. You should be able to find their social pages, and then they produce a lot of other content. It's not just all podcasting. Like I said, they specialize in live streaming. So if you want to go out and check their content, definitely recommend following them on social media. And through there, you'll find out any type of new features or updates that they're doing. They usually will add new stuff. I think pretty often. So they're pretty much always changing and evolving and trying to get better. So if you want to be on the lookout for that, definitely follow them. And then tag them if you use Stream Studio so that way they know that you're using it and that you're enjoying it and that you like it and all that good stuff. Anyway, let me get back to the list. So, um, one good one, somebody said The Grudge. Do y'all remember The Grudge? That was scary. Like that was scary for sure. I know you're probably like, you think everything's scary, but that was really scary. I remember, again, don't remember what year that came out, but I feel like, was that what? Maybe I was in elementary school. Maybe I was in middle school. I don't know. But I just remember everybody at school was making that sound. If you know, you know. The girl make. I'm not even gonna do it because I ain't trying to conjure nothing up in here. But that sound that the girl was making. Oh my! I remember everybody used to do that, and I was like, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. So that was a good one. I kind of forgot about that movie to be honest. And what made it, I think what makes it not as scary now is because they parody, like the whole scary movie franchise when they were parodying, like when they were making a parody of like all the horror movies. So like Scream, they did Grudge, they did Saw and all that kind of stuff. And so I still remember like watching, Scary. That was like a big part of like well, no, as a child actually, probably had no business watching it, but like me and my friends would watch, all the scary movies, specifically Scary Movie 3 and Scary Movie 4, and I think it's Scary Movie 3 maybe or 4 where they parody the Grudge and everything, and that made it funny. So now when I think about the Grudge, I think about that instead of the actual movie. But the actual movie is really scary. And I think it's a, might be wrong, but I think it's a Japanese film, or it's like based off of like a Japanese horror story or something. I could be wrong, you guys, but I just know I remember like back in the day there was a Japanese version or like some other version of the movie that was supposed to be even scarier, and I never watched it. I was like, I'm not watching that because the US version of it is scary enough, but I think there's another version of it that's supposed to be more like uncut or something, but I was like, I'm good. I'm good. I'm not watching it. So I thought that was a good one. Um Another movie somebody mentioned was The Fourth Kind. The Fourth Kind really scared me, and that scared me. I was in high school when I watched that. Thank God I didn't watch that as like a child because I wouldn't have been able to do it. But that movie is about alien abduction. Um, and it's one of those movies they make it like, they make it seem like it's real. It's like based off of true events or this really happened. And so usually when horror movies start like that, I feel like you already are making it like 10 times scarier because now you're going, well, people actually like went through this. Hold on, like what? Um, and in the movie, they make it seem like, I don't know why I actually believe this when I was watching it, but they made it seem like, so the girl, it goes back and forth between like this girl on tape, and she's sitting there and recounting like how her children got abducted, and mind you, the girl looks like the blood has been sucked out of her whole body. Like she looks sunken into, and she's really pale, and she just looks really like, she looks like dead inside. But she's talking about what happened to her and like her family and everything like that. And it's supposed to be like a real tape of her like discussing the events and all this kind of stuff. And so it goes back and forth between her and then what actually was happening, um like when people were getting abducted and stuff, and it was just creepy. Like it was really creepy. I specifically remember watching that at night and not really being able to sleep, and I think I left the lamp on in my room or something because I was like, I'm really creeped out right now. Like, I don't know if this was like real or not. Obviously it was not real, but at the time I was like really creeped out about it. So The Fourth Kind, good alien movie if you're into that kind of thing. Another person, Robin, she said Coraline scared her. Um, that's another animated movie as well. I think that one's more popular than Monster House, but I've heard she's not the only person I've heard that said Coraline actually really creeped them out. So I'm not surprised so much with that one because that was actually a little unsettling for it to be a kids movie. I really when was the last time I saw Coraline? It's been years since I've seen that. So I don't really remember all of what happens in it, but I know it involves like button eyes, and I actually dressed up as Coraline for, was that last year or the year before that? I did a lot of like Halloween costumes the past couple years and like makeup looks. So if you want to check that out, you can go to my Instagram and see it on there. And I usually will leave my socials down in the comments. So if you want to follow me on there, please do. But yeah, I dressed up as Coraline because I saw somebody else do it and I thought that was a really cute costume. But yeah, I haven't seen the movie in quite a while, so I can't remember all of what happens. I think it might be based off of a book. I'm not too sure. But yeah, the movie itself is kind of disturbing. I'm not even gonna lie. For it to be an animated movie, it kind of is. So I thought that's reasonable. I think, especially watching it as a little kid. I didn't watch it as a little kid. I watched it when I was like in probably in high school, probably. Um, Somebody mentioned, which I thought was funny. Gabby on Twitter, she mentioned she mentioned the holographic cover of Jack Frost, and not the original Jack Frost, the one that they made when they made him into like a serial killer. Which why would you do that? What was the point of that? She said, I've never actually seen it, but the holographic cover of Jack Frost used to terrify me as a kid when I would walk through Blockbuster. Now that's again pretty reasonable because I can imagine as a kid you seeing the poster for that. Poster for that was is weird. Um, and the fact that they made a snowman a serial killer, like why would you do that? What was the point of that? Like I thought, if I'm pretty sure the original Jack Frost was just like like I think the original one was like the kid friendly version one, and then they came out with the horror movie one. I don't think it's the other way around. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember. Because a lot of these movies I haven't seen in like years, but I think the original one was like the dad died and then he got like reincarnated into a snowman, and so he was able to like pretty much able to be with his family again and to like spend time with like his kid and everything like that. And then they turned that into this guy being a evil like killing snowman. I'm like, what is wrong with Hollywood? Why do you guys do that? That should be another topic on my podcast. Why do you guys make things that are supposed to be pure and wholesome and for children and you make it into horror movies? That's why people be scared of stuff. Anyway, I don't know why they did that, but yeah, I can see why that would be creepy. um Kaylin on Twitter said that House of Wax, the 2005 version, she said she accidentally caught the movie on MTV when she was about 8 or 9. And she said, I will never step foot into a wax museum now. So, there you have it. I'm pretty sure I've seen that as well. I have not seen the original House of Wax. I know that one came out way back in the day. Um, the remake, I do kind of remember bits and pieces of it, so I'm sure I've seen that before, and it's definitely gory. Um, so yeah, I understand that. Understand that. And what's funny too, I think, just kind of touching on like how um I think people really do get traumatized, is that it's not just that it's scary to you, it's that it gets to a point where it's preventing you from like doing things ever again, or it's like I can't do this without thinking about this movie, or now I'm afraid, or I won't, like she said, I won't step foot in a wax museum now because of that movie. Or you have people that a good example of that is Final Destination, the Final Destination movies. There is a scene in either the second or the third one. I think, again, I haven't seen all the movies. I remember the first one, but there's a scene I think in the second or the third one that everybody like remembers, where the person was driving behind a truck and the truck had like all these big logs in the back, and you know what happens, the log came off and like impaled the person and stuff. So people are like, I'm not driving behind no truck with no logs, because what if that happens like it did in Final Destination? And I'm like, see, this is why people be traumatized, because you have stuff like that and people will really go like, I won't do that because of this movie now. And isn't that crazy, the way movies, the way fictional stuff like that can really mess with our minds? I just find that really, it's kind of funny, but it's more so fascinating. um I'm trying to think of another example of that. There's plenty of. I mean, Jaws is a big one. Somebody said on Facebook, Jaws. I know that really scared a lot of people back in the day, especially to be able to like go in the ocean or to even go swimming. It was like, I'm not doing that. Like, what if a shark comes up and eats me? So crazy how like these movies, especially like a lot of the big classic ones or the ones that kind of became phenomenons, really shaped a generation and made like almost everybody is afraid of different, like Candyman, Nightmare on Elm Street. Like people be afraid to go to sleep because they don't want to dream and everything. Like it's just crazy. It obviously people being afraid of clowns because of that. Um, I mean, there's so many. There's so many more that I could probably go through. I could probably talk about this forever. It's just a lot. For me, I'll say that there are a few, to be honest, but I think one in particular that comes to mind that really scared me was there was a movie called The Haunting. Please, if anybody knows what I'm talking about, comment or tag me on social media and tell me that you know what I'm talking about. There was a movie called The Haunting, and I think it might have been a remake because I think this version came out in like the late 90s. I think I could be wrong. I have not seen this movie since I was a kid. Um, I probably should have looked it up before this, but I haven't seen it in so long, so I really don't remember like when it came out and who was all in the movie. All I remember is that it's about like a group of people and they go to this house that ends up being haunted, and but that when they go into the house they don't realize that it's haunted. They go into the place under false pretenses. So I think the person that lives there or whatever tells them like, you can come to the house and you could study this or we could do this and do that, and then it ends up being haunted, and then of course like they all get trapped there for the night. um and there was one scene in particular that really creeped me out, or just that really scared me. And again, don't remember like the specifics, but it was something having to do with like something getting stuck in somebody's eye. And after that, I was like, I can't do it. Why do we have to watch this stuff? Well, it's not even that I had to. I think what it was I was at my neighbor's house, and my neighbor used to watch a lot of scary movies, things that I would have never like watched on my own. And so obviously like when you're at somebody else's house and they have something on, it's kind of hard to like not look at the TV. So that's what happened with me. That's why I think I ended up watching that. But yeah, that really scared me. That one in particular, I just remember like being really freaked out, like thinking that like something was going to happen in my room or something, or like something was going to happen with the house. And it was just ridiculous. But please tell me if you guys remember that movie. I'm pretty sure it's called The Haunting or Haunting or something like that. I don't know. Um, I wish you know what? Let me look it up right now. I'm going to look up to see who was in it. Because I know I'm not crazy. I know this movie actually existed. Um, but yeah, if you guys, I did ask the question on social media before filming this episode, but if you want to kind of join in on the conversation, you can go to my Facebook page. I still have the question up of what horror movie traumatized you as a kid. If you want to, put your answer in the comment and let me know, I'd love to see it. Or if you want to hit me up on Twitter or Instagram or anything like that, let me know. We can still continue the conversation because, like I said, I'm moving more into like horror themed content for the month of October. So we're going to be talking about all the scary things going forward. Okay, see, I listen. I'm looking it up right now. The Haunting came out in 1999. I knew I wasn't. Oh, okay. Liam Neeson is in the movie. So please, again, if you guys know what I'm talking about, please tell me I'm not the only one that's seen this movie and that like I was really afraid of it. I feel like maybe if I went back and watched it now, it might not be as scary. I don't know. Maybe I will go back and rewatch it, or if I can find clips of it on YouTube, I can kind of react to it on the podcast if you guys want me to do that for next week. Although I kind of already have content planned for what I want to talk about next week. Um, but if you kind of still want to talk about horror movies and things that traumatized us, we can definitely do that. But yeah, this movie really scared me. Owen Wilson is in it. Catherine Zeta-Jones is in it. Some other people. But yeah, I forgot Liam Neeson was in this. Okay. So it says 1999, but I feel like this is a remake, I think. Yeah. So look it up if you haven't seen it. I knew I wasn't crazy. Like I knew this was a thing. I just haven't seen it. Okay. Um Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm reading the little bio thing for it. But yeah, this one in particular, I think I remember the most scaring me. Yeah, so I think we're gonna wrap up the episode there. I don't want to talk too much because we're going on an hour now. And like I said, we're gonna be talking about all scary things the whole month. So if that's your thing, if you're excited about Halloween like I am, and just all things like spooky season, like tune in every Tuesday at 1 p.m. I go live on Facebook. If you didn't know, now you know. And of course, if you're not able to check out my lives, you can always go back and rewatch the episodes on YouTube, on Spotify, or on my Facebook page. You should be able to just look up Tiffany's TVscape podcast on Spotify and YouTube, and it should pop up. And then on Facebook, it's just my own personal page, so it's just under Tiffany McCoy. And you should be able to find me there. And yeah, I think that's it. We're gonna end it there. Again, thank you to everybody that answered my questions, or not my questions, but my question on social media. Hopefully, I could do some more of these and then maybe get you guys to participate and stuff. And of course, as always, if you guys want to be a guest on my show, you have something really interesting and fun that you think would be great to discuss, let me know so that we can set it up and I can get you on the show. Um, and yeah, I will see you guys next week. Should I say what I'm going to talk about next week or what I have planned to talk about next week? Because obviously things can change. But as of right now, I'm planning on getting into the impact of Thriller. That's going to be a good one. Tune in next week at Tuesday. I will see you guys next week. Bye bye.